What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Dr. Josey with the Empowerment Perspective Group. Coming to you with today's episode of the Empowerment Perspective podcast. We sit down with author Cheryl McBride and discuss how to get yourself in the right mental place to overcome any obstacles that you may encounter in your life. Sit back and enjoy, and as always, stay empowered.
I think it really starts when you reflect back and you start realizing the damage that you're doing to yourself. Positive affirmations is something that we should be practicing, and we should start really, really young and start loving yourself. Because if you don't love you, and we've said this before, how is it even possible for you to love someone else? So if you can't tell yourself nice things, how can you actually be genuine and tell someone else some things that are positive about themselves? So it really begins and ends with you.
It's the Empowerment Perspective podcast, hosted by Josey and Mr. Kareem Spence. Stay empowered. Stay empowered. All right, welcome to yet another episode of the Empowerment Perspective podcast. I go by the name of Dr. Josey alongside
Spence is here.
What's going on, sir?
Man, it is a good day for football outside.
It is a good football weather day. I'm a little disappointed that, the sun should be out.
Okay.
The pool's still open. Put the heater on. I'm getting in there at some point this weekend because it's over from here.
This is the last weekend? You go
maybe one more. Stretch it out one more. I get depressed when I see the cover over the pool and wintertime comes. I hate the cold, so it's kind of, I don't know. It bothers me.
I like the cold.
You like the cold?
Listen, I don't be walking around, man. It's 95 degrees outside. You can't breathe. You got to buy water. You got to buy cold refreshments.
Now, I want to take you back to when we went to Michigan and to Chicago. You remember how cold it was out there?
I do.
You enjoyed that.
But I got some hot cookies.
That's true. You did have some hot cookies. That is true. So, we also joined on the show with my daughter, Simone. How are we doing?
Good.
All right, we're going to get to you in a second. And school has started and all that stuff. So we're going to talk about that because last time you were on the show, you were a little nervous about starting middle school. So I told you your fans want to know what is your experience like now. But we'll get to that in a second because I do have to take a personal that I have to talk about.
Let's go.
So I try to be involved in my children's life all the time, obviously, especially when it comes to their extracurricular activities. So they play soccer, and then I coached them for a while. Then I said, I want to just be a dad and a fan and just watch it. So I sat back and watched it one year, and then Simone had a terrible coach, and then she didn't learn anything. So I was like, I have to get back into this game. So last year, I said, I'm going to get back in as an assistant. So I got an assistant job.
Okay.
I didn't have to worry about all the rosters and all that stuff. I could come and go as I please. It was great. So then I'm coaching her team. They're doing pretty good and everything else like that. And then I was like, this year, I said, you know what? I'm going to sign up to be an assistant again. I'm going to the same team, try to bring the same girls back. I get this email from the league, and I get a roster. Completely different.
When you get a roster?
I get a roster of girls.
Okay.
With my name as the head coach.
Was your daughter one of them?
My daughter was one of them.
Okay, let's make sure she's on your roster.
The rest of them was a completely different team.
Okay.
Now, mind you, there was parents that were recommending our team and wanted to, play on our team. So I asked the league to make sure that this particular girl and these girls would get on the team, and they gave me a completely different roster. And I was like, hold up. I said, I'm supposed to be an assistant coach, not a head coach.
Okay.
So should I be taking this personal?
You should.
I should, huh?
And part of that is because, you participated in your fantasy draft. So had you drafted your own team...
This is true.
Then you would have had exactly who you needed.
You're right.
But you allowed other people to dictate who's going to be on your team. Now, just like in fantasy football, when you don't show up, we just give you anybody.
That's anybody. And I'm really happy with this team, though. The team's very good. The girls got some good players on it. So the first game, we had our first game last weekend, and my second take a personal story is
was it hot last weekend?
It was hot. Yeah. It was really hot last weekend. So it was the first time I seen them play together. So we go up. I'm gonna say it was 5-0.
Okay.
And then the ref comes over to me and was like, "Yo, the coach told me to ask you to stop scoring."
The coach
told the ref.
to stop scoring.
To come over and tell me, you're up 5-0, stop scoring. So I take a player off, playing a man down. I'm trying to move people to different positions. Now, mind you, these are 8 to 10-year-old girls, and they get an open breakaway. They gonna take it anyway. So we score again. So they score one, and I was like, all right, it's on now. Score some more. So we kept scoring.
Okay.
And then I was like, you know what? All right, we got to pull back some more. So I was like, everybody on defense. Just play possession at this particular point.
I'm still stuck when the coach had you decide whether or not if you were going to score. How about stopping you? How about
That's what I said to the ref. I said, you got to coach his team.
How about you making adjustments?
Right. No, he wanted to make me stop scoring and all that stuff. So, long story short, we ended up winning 8-1 in that particular game. Then the parent comes up to me from the other team. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm walking across the field, you go, say goodbye or whatever. Parent comes up to me and was like, I really want to thank you for not destroying these girls' egos and all this other stuff. I thought he was being sarcastic. I was like, what do you want me to do? I took players off, told them to pass. Like, what you want me to do? So I don't know if he's being sincere or not, but I think I should take that personal.
Well, here's the thing. When it comes to competition, you only get better after you get destroyed. So I know they're young, but at the same time, at what point do we allow those that are really doing well to continue to do well? It's like education. Yes, it's like we're going to slow you down just so that everybody else can catch up. No.
This is true. I was like, you run score up. Oh, run. How do you feel
score
about
50?
Well, I feel like the coach that was not right. Like he needs to teach his team to do better than tell us to stop doing it.
Makes sense. I agree with you 100%. So
that reality doesn't exist nowhere else in the world. Can you imagine if Mercedes-Benz called Ford and they said, "Hey, listen,
stop selling cars.
Stop selling cars."
This is true, man. I mean, this is also a sport that gives out participation trophies and all that stuff. And I don't know, man. I feel like we're setting these children up for failure on some level with all of this. Participation trophies and don't score now. And guess what? Your feelings are going to get hurt some point in life. Yeah. Right? You're going to get beat pretty bad in life at some point in time. Yes. And, you need to be able to handle that.
Resilience is what we're trying to build. So when you've been through enough, you can only be tougher. Right. It doesn't matter. If I get beat by 5, I'll get by 50. Listen, you still lose. It's like this week in fantasy football, I lost by 30.
Sheesh.
I still lost.
It makes sense.
Doesn't matter. So I'd rather lose by 30 than lose by 1. That's when the heartbreak comes in.
That's true. All right, 1 point. So school has started in this lovely state of New Jersey. Yes. Everyone's back in the grind mode. We had our first full week. How was your?
Nobody's happy. I'm not happy. Found out I got back to school on Monday night, so I got to stay even later. So it's just too much, too fast. So.
I want to know if you learned your lesson, because this time last year you had the Band-Aids on the heels because you had the wrong shoes. Yes. Did you learn your lesson? Get some good shoes.
So here's what happened. We had our first fire drill. I think it was Thursday. So we had the meeting, and again, they told me last minute, so I had the wrong shoes on, so I went home, changed my shoes, came back. So listen, my shoes were not made to walk on certain type of surfaces. It's too early, so I went ahead and put some more comfortable shoes on so I could walk across the grass.
That's funny.
So I made adjustments. So that's what you do when you go through stuff and you get a little pain. You make an adjustment.
Interesting. Speaking of making adjustments, my lovely daughter, the last episode actually 2 episodes ago, you were talking about your fears of starting middle school and all of that stuff. How is it going right now?
It's going fine, I guess.
What do you mean, you guess? Was it as bad as you thought it was going to be?
No, but it's only 7 days in, and it is harder.
It's harder?
Yeah, it's harder than I thought.
What's hard about it?
Homework on the weekends.
Yes.
Homework on the weekends?
Yes.
Yes, this is a new territory for her.
They weren't sending homework
and then it's
not on the weekends in elementary school. She's in the middle of that. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
But it's not that. It's kind of easy because I feel like you're starting a whole nother chapter, but then it's kind of the same as like my fourth
From
grade.
before. Got you. So you have in our school, in her school district, there's 4 ascending schools that go to the middle school.
Okay.
So there's a lot of kids that are in there.
It's like a regional middle school almost.
Yeah, almost. Were you overwhelmed by the amount of kids that are in the building?
Definitely.
How big are they?
How big are what, the kids?
Yeah, no, the number of students. I think it's a school.
Oh, it's big. It's comparable to Egg Harbor Township.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe even a little bit bigger than that. I think the graduating class is close to 500 every year.
Okay.
So there's a lot of kids that are in that building. And it's really interesting. So you made the tag program in, what else you call it? The honors program and things of that nature. And now's the time when your friends are starting to go different ways and time to make new friends, right?
Yeah. But like it's hard because my class is I don't like my class because the kids are very annoying.
Guess what? I got news for you, right?
No.
Those kids, when they get older, they're going to be the same way. You're going to be around some annoying people that do the exact same thing. It's all good, though.
Especially when you go to Popeyes. Absolutely. It's very annoying when you get there and they don't have the chicken sandwich.
We talked about the chicken sandwich. We talked about how we don't believe it's real.
Yes, it's like a Pegasus almost. Yes.
I have never seen one. Did you ever see a chicken sandwich before?
No.
No. So.
Well, I saw it in Chick-fil-A.
And Chick-fil-A, but not a
Chick-fil-A
Popeyes.
has chicken sandwiches, yes.
So we're going to go on a quest to really see if we can actually see this chicken sandwich.
Yes.
Because I don't think it actually
I don't think it's
exists.
just season. I think
This is really interesting. Our previous podcast we had on Evan Robb down in Virginia, principal down there, talking about how to build capacity in your organization. So shout out to him. Don't forget to cop his book that's out there on Amazon under Evan Robb. We also have a TED Talk that's out there as well. So in I guess this is year 3. This is our third season here on the Empowerment Perspective Group, and we talk to a lot of authors, people that have written a lot of books, because people have stuff to say. You know what I'm saying? Some really important things, and people have gone through life and experienced some things that I think when you share your story, other people learn. It's a healing process for yourself as well, but also other people learn from your story and things of that nature. My daughter actually asked about my book today. She was like, "Daddy, why'd you call the book Life Music?"
You didn't read the book yet?
I didn't let her
It
read
should have
it.
been part of summer reading.
Well, maybe this summer she might be able to read my book. But we did go last night. Where did we go last night?
Where did we go last night? I forget.
It's a football game.
Oh yeah, we went to the football game.
And what did I tell you about the buildings? You don't remember?
No.
What?
All I remember is that they're really
Did you get
good.
cheese fries at the game?
Yeah.
Yeah, she actually had cheese fries. But the building, the middle school and the high school, what did I tell you about mommy and daddy?
Oh, you met there?
Yeah. Yep. She's like, I hope they updated it by now. I was like, thanks. Interesting. I'm going to let you go because I know you got some swimming to do, and hopefully you can put that phone down. You should be doing your homework on the weekend, but we're going to let that slide for now since you won't have cheer practice tomorrow. But
They practice on Sundays?
oh, yeah, man. The Josey household only has off on Tuesdays and Fridays.
Dang.
Yes.
Rough schedule.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
It's a rough schedule. The calendar's thick.
Stick. Let's go. Keep them busy.
Tired.
Tired. Yes, for sure. So, thanks for showing up. Appreciate you.
That's
If you want to stick around, you can.
Okay.
All right. So going back to the authors, we have a special guest in the building today. Again, I keep saying like the one of the important things that we talk about and do with the Empowerment Perspective Group is networking. You have to have the ability to talk to people that you have never met before. I've never met this woman before, but once we got on the phone and started talking, we saw there was a lot of commonalities going on in our conversations, and she has co-authored, I guess you could say, a book that we see here, Women Who Illuminate. And she was, I was blessed enough to hear her story. It was a very impactful story. So, Cheryl McBride, welcome to the podcast.
Welcome. Yeah, thank you.
You welcoming us?
Thank you. No, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
But you said welcome.
I did.
Are you taking over the show?
Yeah, I'd love to. Let's do it.
I like it.
Okay.
She can have it. We're going to start over from the beginning. Welcome to the Cheryl McBride podcast.
We can bring the female podcast or the personality in with it, right?
Lovely. So let's get right into it. The book, why did you decide to be a part of it? How did it become? How did that start? How did it become a reality? Like, how did that process work for you?
So, actually, I never would have thought that a book was in my future, and just a series of events that occurred, and everything started to take me on this journey, and I just kind of followed it. So I do have a story, and I, like you were talking about earlier, I think that stories connect people, and in sharing your story, you're able to go through a process yourself. In writing this story, it was very cathartic and healing for me. And my main mission with this whole book is to connect with others, to show that life may not be what you think it may be, but it's when you show up and you persevere and you go through, I would say, like, my word is resilience, as you were talking about earlier. You got to dig in and figure out, what do you want to make of this life, and you can stay stuck or you can move forward. So when this book showed up and the possibility of writing my story, I paused for a little bit, thought about it, and was like, well, what can this possibly do? And then when I started to reflect on it, I thought, well, maybe sharing your story will help you connect with others and realize that everyone out there is going through life, and you may come across some stumbling blocks, and if you can connect with someone else, maybe they can help you through it. Maybe it's just to inspire them, maybe it's to help them. So that was my mission in working on this book here.
It's awesome. So it's a collection of stories. Looks like maybe 20 women. How many women?
Actually, there's 30, and
30.
And this is the 5th book in the series. There were 4 before this. This is called the Inspired Impact book series, published by Kate Butler. And I've met many of these women, and I've read a lot of their stories. I haven't got through the book completely, and some real empowering stories there of some amazing women that, a lot of us in the same situation. I want to share, and I want to connect, and I want to illuminate. There goes the title, and help others. And I think that's where we're all coming from.
How are you selected for this?
So I don't know if it was a selection process.
Okay.
I happened to reacquaint with a friend of mine at the beginning of 2019, and she was at Kate Butler's house doing a retreat, and I happened to be talking to her about it, and I said, that sounds like a pretty awesome women's retreat. And she said, oh, I think you would really like it, just knowing who you are and the personal self-growth journey that you've been on, and let me connect you with Kate, and perhaps you might be interested in doing what I'm doing. And that's when she told me she was sharing her story, and I said, I didn't even know that there was a platform out there that existed like this. I didn't even know that there was a container of someone who gathers women's stories and then publishes them and then puts them out. So a little bit of reflection on why Kate does this is her mentor is Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul guy. So he is her mentor, and he's got, the #1 bestseller on New York Times. I think he holds the Guinness Book of World Records for that. And she had sort of the same idea and was like, why not bring together women's stories? And like I said, this is the 5th book in the series. And when I spoke to her, she's like, this is how we do it, and talk to me about what you've been through in your life, and then let's see if this would fit into this book. Because obviously if it was 30 identical stories, it wouldn't make as good a reading as it does. So she creates the diversity, and she, like I said, she creates the container, and then we work together over the time, and then we get to meet other authors at a retreat, and boom, #1 bestseller on Amazon when it launched.
Oh, wow.
That's nice. Really nice.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about this retreat a little later.
Yeah.
we need a retreat.
But no,
Yeah.
go with
A men's
that.
retreat, right? Yeah.
No.
No.
That is too funny.
Doesn't sound like fun at all. It sounds like something bad is going to happen.
Somebody gonna get hurt.
Somebody's definitely going to do something stupid. I guarantee you.
That's funny. So let's dig into your story a little bit, if you.
Yeah, let's do it.
Go into
Let's do it.
I don't want to give all of the story away. I mean, I did read it, and this is actually the first. This is the first on the Empowerment Perspective podcast that I actually did some really research and read and took notes. You see highlights,
Highlighted.
and I'm making side notes and things of that nature. So this is I was drawn in by the story. I can't lie, and I said, let me write some stuff down to talk about on the podcast today. But let's just start with your story, and you can go as deep as you want to.
Absolutely. So my story begins probably about 15 years ago. I was married and have 3 beautiful children who are now grown, and I found myself in an interesting situation, really where I had to say, whoa, now what do I do? I was married for 15 years, and I had 3 beautiful children, young at the time, was a stay-at-home mom. And after high school, I went right into the workforce, so I had no college education. Given the fact that I was able to stay home, I poured myself into my children, and I did all those things, volunteered for everything. And my husband and I at the time were going through a divorce. And so I'm sitting there like, oh, what do I do now? Because I have no college education. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm a mother to 3 children. How do I rise above this, and how do I move forward? Because I wasn't going to stay stuck in that situation. I'm not a person who's going to stand around waiting for someone to help me the rest of my life. I'm going to help myself. So the first thing I did was get myself a part-time job and ease myself back into the workforce, and assured my children that we were going to do what we needed to do to move through life. And then I began working at Rowan College at Gloucester County, which used to be Gloucester County College, on a part-time basis. And after being there a year, I was truly inspired by the educational atmosphere, had always been involved in education with my kids in the school with the PTO. I was on the school board for 6 years, and I was like, I can go to school, I can do this. So at the age of 40, I began my journey going to school. And it took about 2.5 years to earn my education and go through the educational associate's degree, and then working part-time and raising my kids, going through a divorce. And then after I graduated from Gloucester County College at the time, I got a full-time job and flipped it to go to school part-time and work full-time. So I now had my own steady stream of income. And
I pause you there for a second, because I think this point here is really, really important. In the book, you talk about dealing with stress, and you thought that you were handling it correctly.
Oh, yeah.
At that particular point in time. And I think that a lot of people are in the same boat when you feel like you are handling it correctly, but I don't want to tell the story too far, but it seemed like it was some point that you weren't really handling it correctly.
Right. I think that it's a facade to ourselves when we're dealing with super stressful situations, how we take it on and we just kind of push it down. We're like, we'll deal with that later. I got to keep moving forward. We'll take that stress on as far as like how to deal with, going to school, being a non-traditional student, how to raise kids that are going through, a situation like mommy and daddy are no longer together, and I'm trying to be everything to them and show up for them. And, now I'm in the workforce and I'm trying to earn money. And, it's way different when you're relying on a steady stream of income from your, when you were married to, I'm now the be-all, end-all for some things. And so I took on the stress. Yes, I did talk therapy, which I believe in that. But later in life is when I really started to learn some tools that have benefited me, which is part of my story as well. What do you do when you have to relieve your body of that stress? What do you do when you can't shut down the mind chatter? What do you do when you don't sleep right? So those are the things.
You're asking me, or
yeah, I'm asking you. What do you do, right?
I'll be one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's too funny.
So taking it on and thinking we're dealing with it, and then just keep moving on, and then that's when I hit the next stressful situation.
I think people need to take that breath to even just sit and reflect the fact that, one, I am stressed out, and acknowledge the fact that you are going through that stress, but that there has to be that self-healing process while you're in it. I think a lot of people, when they're in that situation, they're so worried about, and you should be, making sure that their children are right and everything, but you can't help somebody else if you're not healthy yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
So you have to take that moment every once in a while and sit back and reflect on what you're currently going through, and it's okay. You take a breath.
I don't think people even know or even know when to take a break. Like you said, in Josey's house, we're only off on Tuesdays and Fridays. But are you really off? Because there are still things that you and your wife and the children have to do. So it's never like you guys are completely able just to stop and reduce a lot of the chatter.
Right.
So that stress continues to build. And then we just add more and more stuff on, and before we know it, we're just so overwhelmed that we're up to here.
Right.
And we just can't be able to cope or manage, and the next thing that comes, it just becomes a breaking point.
Right. Well, in our family, and I actually talked to my wife about this morning, and I was like, I love the weekend. And she was like, of course you do. I said, yeah, I'm not a job or whatever. I said, I just love the fact that as a family, we can get up and ease into our day. We'll have coffee out on the deck. We'll talk. The kids are doing whatever, and it's a huge family time for us. Because the week is hustle and bustle all day long. So the weekend becomes a de-stressor for us, but we're still moving. We're still doing soccer. But we're doing it as a family unit, and we just use that as our time to recharge and deal with the nonsense of the week that we're going to be dealing with every day. But let's continue. So you went back to school, non-traditional student. What happens after that?
Yeah, so working and doing all the things that you need to do to move forward. My kids have always been a huge priority in my life, and I think that I was so worried about them that we also put our own feelings and situations aside. And they seem to be adjusting. Kids are resilient, sometimes a little bit more so than we as adults. So moving forward and working, and I was fortunate enough in 2009 to meet my soon-to-be second husband. And it was a great relationship, and during that time I was still continuing my education process, and we dated for about a year. And it was a long-distance relationship because he was from Margate and I had been living in West Deptford. But it worked, and things were going good. I felt like, I've turned a corner here. Let's start getting life back into me. And, you kind of settle into your new normal. And we were dating and, fell in love, had plans of spending our future together. And just as I was about ready, I was in my last semester of working on my college degree for my bachelor's. We had come back from a trip, and he hadn't been feeling right. And then I have to say the unimaginable happened, and reality set in again. And unfortunately, my husband, who was 48 at the time, was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. So really big blow, really big blow. We have this misnomer that we have control over our life, and we don't really have control over anything. We have control over the little things of how we show up in our day and, where we're going and the things we do, but the big picture, we don't have that control. And that was a big reality check for me, saying, wait, we were doing all the things, we had plans, and how can this happen? And dark time again, really tough time. And we just started trying to navigate life, figuring out what we need to do to get his health back on track, to try and restore his health, and meeting doctors, he had to have surgery, chemo, radiation, all the things. So again, put back into that really stressful 24/7, let's keep it going. Don't worry about yourself, Cheryl, because you don't have time. We have to worry about Frank now. You gotta worry about your kids because this was a huge blow, and I'm just finishing my education, and thank God Frank was a huge supporter of mine. He's like, no matter what, you're finishing, because the light at the end of the tunnel, it's right there. So thank goodness things aligned. I did graduate with my bachelor's degree, and all total it took me 5 years to do that, and then just kind of transitioned right into caretaker and doing what we had to do. Unfortunately, after a year of traveling the country, meeting with different doctors, doing what we needed to do, cancer beat Frank, and I lost him on June 5th, 2012 to colon cancer.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yes, it was another huge blow. Yeah.
Did you find that it took longer for you to get out of that, I want to call it the dark place, or was it a little easier this second time around?
It's an interesting question because over time people have asked me, what do you think was easier, Cheryl? Or is there a difference between the death of a marriage when that goes to that falls apart, or the death of a loved one when you're married and you lose them? And both of them are a form of death, and I don't know that you can even compare the two because it's an entirely different set of feelings. But the answer is no to that. I did not find myself coming out of that darkness faster. Because I guess we have expectations in life, and we think about the future because that's what we should do. We want to think about the future and the brightness, and all those dreams and hopes were pretty much shattered. And I was like, the self-talk, and I talk about that in my book a lot, was bad. Like, nice job, check, you're divorced, check, you're now widowed, check, you stink, you've failed again, and a form of shame and embarrassment shows up. But now I can reflect back and go, it's life. Like, I didn't say have cancer, and I wasn't the only one that contributed to things that caused my marriage to fail. But we all go through that. So it's when we get to the point of all of a sudden you realize this is life and this is what happens. Let yourself off the hook. What are you doing to move forward? How are you going to get out of that funk? And what can you do to rise above and just, learn from it? It's not really failure. And, the greatest lessons that I have found in life are through these things. Okay, what did you learn? And then what can you take with you moving forward?
In the book, you talk about the comfort zone, and we talk about the comfort zone all the time. And one of the things that in my life I just focus on, I like being uncomfortable. Yeah. Because that's where all the lessons are. That's how you grow.
Yes.
We did in that a couple of years ago, I put a post up. I said, I don't like feeling comfortable, unless I'm on vacation. When you think about it, you're on vacation, you want to be comfortable, so you don't do anything. You relax, you sit by the beach. You're not progressing.
Good vacation.
That's a great vacation.
I'm pretty sure that when you go on vacation, there's a whole itinerary of things to do and things to see.
And you know what? That's how my life used to be. Total type A,
that's good.
A huge list.
Changed.
Yes, but good. Now I'm learning to chill and just ease.
Stay in a hotel, just get room service.
Yeah, sometimes all the things you got to do. Good stuff. But yeah. But I do like to be comfortable, on vacation at least.
But there's no growth, in being comfortable. And I feel like a lot of people go through life trying to find that comfort zone, and then once they get into it, it's not what you thought it was going to be, and you're just kind of coasting and not really pushing yourself. So I always look for things that make me uncomfortable. That's how this podcast came. I didn't know anything about podcasts, so let's try it. Let's see what happens. Now it's the next thing. Go back to school, get your doctorate, whatever. Let's try it. And then I just try to find areas in my life where I think I need to work on stuff. Like, my organizational skills was terrible, so I would create situations where I had to be organized. Like, our schedule is crazy, forces me to become organized. So there's a lot of power in that uncomfortable zone, and I think a lot of people are afraid to go and try. But I want to go back to the self-talk part.
Sure.
And I don't understand why. And I went through a period in my life too where it was all negative. But something in me flipped, and it was like the conversations I have in my head aren't necessarily you can't do it. It might be you should be doing something else, or you might move a different way. How do you develop positive self-talk within yourself? Anybody?
I think it really starts when you reflect back and you start realizing the damage that you're doing to yourself. Positive affirmations is something that we should be practicing, and we should start really, really young and start loving yourself. Because
Absolutely.
if you don't love you, and we've said this before, how is it even possible for you to love someone else?
Somebody else.
So if you can't tell yourself nice things, how can you actually be genuine and tell someone else some things that are positive about themselves? So it really begins and ends with you.
Yeah.
But that positive affirmations and learning that at a young age really is the way to go. So that negative, because it's going to happen. It's going to be times when you those negative thoughts. But again, you have to be willing and prepared to adjust and adapt when those times come, to start putting more and more positive information into your body. And the other thing is that you can't be hanging out with negative people.
100%.
I was going to say that.
Yes.
Absolutely. You got to surround yourself with good, positive people, create your tribe, and have each other be lifted up by one another. Yeah, absolutely. And what you practice grows stronger. So I think if you practice positivity and love and compassion and kindness and, like you said, love for yourself, that grows stronger. But if you're sitting there and you're practicing negativity and jealousy and envy and hatred, that will go stronger, you know? And so you have to really choose who you surround yourself with, what kind of feelings are they bringing, because it's all an energy exchange.
Absolutely. So you brought up young people, and I never asked you this question. How do you handle stress? And what do you do?
I watch YouTube and play with slime.
And play with slime. Slime is your
And
remix.
I also I like to talk about it. I don't know why, because I feel like if I talk about it, then I'll figure out the positive in it and move forward.
It's good.
Who do you talk to mostly about?
My friend Yasmin and Melanie.
Shit, talking to people.
Who else? You have conversations with mommy about stuff sometimes? Don't y'all have conversations? So parents out there, make sure that you're having conversations with your kids all the time. Even when it may seem to be difficult ones.
I talk to no one.
You talk to yourself.
I talk to that poppy wine.
Whoever makes poppy wine, listen, shout out to you. We need sponsorship over here. Make sure that you
Poppy wine, please listen to me. Yeah.
Poppy wine, I really love you, poppy wine.
That's funny. Let's talk about counseling, because there's a lot of, and I know I went through it myself. Like, I don't need to talk to nobody. I don't need to go see a counselor and all that stuff. What drove you to the point where you felt like you needed to have someone to talk to about the things that you were going through?
When you can't shut down your mind and you can't sleep and your thoughts are scattered and you can't make clear, good decisions, that's when I knew I kind of needed to sit with someone and talk about it. Sure, I can unload on a friend, but I wanted that professional, help back. I wanted some feedback on, okay, how am I feeling? And you don't want to go to that deep, dark place that it's too hard to pull yourself back out. Yeah, right, yeah. That place is beyond poppy wine. Yeah, totally. So, and I have to say that I'm a big believer in it. I've been through it several times in my life because I've been through some crazy times. And when I went, my therapist said to me, all right, Cheryl, I can sit here and do all the things, but you've got to help yourself too. You've got to move that negative energy. You've got to get things. And that's when she said, find an outlet for you. I'm like, what do you mean find an outlet? What? I don't have time for this. And she's like, go to the gym, go outside and walk, be with outside. Yeah, go get an activity. And that's when I discovered my yoga practice and the passion that I had with that. That's just moving energy. And along came with yoga was meditation, which is what my huge practice is to this day. And those two tools, those teachings have allowed me to forgive myself, as I said in the book, for all the things that I did or didn't do or say or should have said, and just allow myself to be where I am now. And things happen, but I'm not stuck back in that time, and I'm not carrying that like a grind on my shoulder all day and go, well, listen to what happened to me, so you got to make a personal choice. And I think one of the other things, counseling is so helpful to allow you to just realize that things do happen in life, as I said, and we can't control all of it. But again, how are you going to move forward, and what are you going to do with that information to rise above all of it?
Right.
So a lot of times what counseling does is it allows you to learn you.
Yeah.
And you get an opportunity, because once you unload all these feelings, you have to reorganize your feelings. And then after that, you have to come up with a plan so that when these feelings return, you're able to adjust and adapt so that you don't go back into that sunken place, because it's really easy. A lot of people don't find benefits in counseling simply because it makes them be uncomfortable and talk about things and places that make them feel uncomfortable. And a lot of people don't like to feel comfortable, they like to feel safe and stay in their lives. But in order to truly get the benefits of counseling, you have to be willing to address some of the weaknesses that are within you, some things that you're hiding.
All right. When I went through the process, it kind of got to the point where I was just like, what I was going through at that particular moment. I know what I went through in my past kind of got me into where I am, where I was at that particular moment. My demons and stuff from the past were still affecting how I moved throughout the day. And I finally got to a point where I was just like, this is stupid. Like, I'm not going through this anymore. My life is not in turmoil. Like, why am I carrying this stuff with me at this particular moment? And it changed I think that's where my self-talk started to change. Like, before it was, woe is me, and, this happened to me, and yada, yada, yada. And then, writing the book, also was a release. And when I was writing the book, I was going through counseling, so that's why you read the book. There's a conversation between what sounds like a counselor, and it kind of just got to the point where like, this is dumb. Like, what am I really doing? And why am I letting this impact who I am right now?
Don't you think too, when you wrote your book, at least for me, when I saw the words on paper, I was like, let yourself off the hook. Like, move on. Like, this is what is, and move from there. So yeah, very cathartic.
There was a lot of forgiveness.
Totally.
From people in the past, myself, and the stuff that happened in the past, I had no control over it. Like, why was I still hung up on it? But forgiveness was a big part of writing that book, and that was me forgiving the people. Even when I had the conversation with them, my self-talk said, I'm forgiving everything that happened.
Yeah, I want to go back to what we asked when we were doing we were down at a conference in Atlanta, and we asked a group of teachers if they had 24 hours to live, how would they teach their class? So now I still continue to ask that question even when I talk to young people, but now today we're talking about forgiveness. Now, if we only had 24 hours to live, does all the stuff that really happened 10, 15 years ago really matter?
Really matter.
It doesn't.
So why aren't we able or willing to live as if we only have one day? Because in reality, that's all we have. All we get is the 24 hours, and sometimes for some people 12 or 10, because we never know.
And life changes on a dime. I experienced that. 1 minute, my husband Frank was fine, and the next minute, after a conversation, you're not so fine. And now you may even be divined as how much longer you'll be here on this earth. And so moving forward from there, that's something that comes back into my mind often. And so moving forward in life, I don't want to stay in that, because not only am I honoring his memory, because he wanted to be here, and unfortunately that was not in God's plan. So moving forward, what a better way than to live my life to its fullest, to honor his memory, to say, no, I embrace life, and I'm going to just take on whatever comes at me, but I'm not going to stay stuck, because we only have the present moment. And if you're living in shoulda, coulda, wouldas, that's usually like the past. And when you're living in how you try to control, or that monkey mind that's like, what's going to happen and how am I going to do this, that's anxiety, and that's the future. And we really only have the center lane, which is the present moment.
It's true.
When we start going out of that lane, that's when it becomes really tricky and hairy, and that's when the mind starts to play tricks on you. The mind is so powerful, and it can put things and images in your mind that you didn't even know existed, or even somebody that you are having a conversation with can actually put something into your mind, and all of a sudden you will develop feelings based off a thought that you never had until somebody put it there.
Your self-doubt creeps in because of what their perception is of you, and you're like, wait a minute, that's not true. But why do we allow those feelings to come in? Because if you know it's not true, why are you allowing someone other's opinion to navigate your decisions?
Your giving somebody more power over your life than you do.
Yeah.
I like when people, share stuff with me, and the people that don't even like them that have opinions about them, and they hold that opinion or it outweighs more than the opinion that they have about themselves. Like, she don't even like you. Why are you worried about what she thinks?
Right, that's crazy. Another exercise that I did was to write down all at that present moment, all the negative things that was going on in my life, but also all the positives. And when I looked at it, like, I couldn't stop writing all the positive stuff. And as I looked at all the negative, like you said, I was like, this stuff don't even matter. Like, it doesn't. Why am I paying attention to it? The same wherever your focus is and your energy goes. So why am I focusing so much on the negative and when all this beautiful stuff is around me? I don't know why is it our human nature that we're just gravitated to negative things and just want to dwell on it. As I feel like it's an excuse and it's a way out for them to say that I'm not here because of this.
I don't think that's something that we practice. I don't think that we actually practice being able to have or manage our emotions, I should say. Because it can be one thing that happens. Like, you can spill your coffee, and that will set the tone for
the
your
whole day. Yeah.
How about this? How about you shouldn't be drinking coffee? I like coffee. How about you shouldn't be drinking coffee with additional sugar and extra cream? And how about that? You shouldn't have it because, again, it's even with the food that we eat that sets a tone with our emotions. So
absolutely.
Our diets, including mine, but I like fast food, it's horrible.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, 99% of the things in our life can be going right, but our minds go to that 1% and you just sit and dwell on it. So one thing that I like to do that I'll share with you too is I like to practice gratitude. So every day when I wake up, in addition to my meditation practice, I write down in a journal 3 things that I'm grateful for that day and 3 things that would make the day great and then 2 I am statements, super powerful affirmations like you said. And if you begin your day like that, it's amazing how it starts to change and you're looking for gratitude and good things that happen all throughout the day. And you can do the same practice in the evening before you go to bed. It literally takes 5 minutes.
All the same lines. I just read Common's book, Let Love Have the Last Word. Right? And the title itself got me thinking, and I posted this at work, and I do these Thursday thoughts of the day thing. And I said,
that's your new job.
Yeah. I said that I'm going to, every communication I have with somebody, I'm going to let love have the last word.
Okay.
So I may have something difficult to say about you, but I'm going to end my conversation with everybody that I talk to with a love statement, something positive. And it's a practice that we do with our family. I kiss my kids goodnight. I love you every single night. So any person that I come across, and it's a healing thing for me too. Like, I'm ending on a positive note. So if anyone wants anything to take with them that is going to help them, especially through difficult conversations or stuff like that, let love have the last word. And that since I'm in practice of that, I really. The emotion, I used to get caught up in a lot of the emotions of like, for example, when my coworkers might have done something stupid and like, why are you doing it? I got to reprimand them and I would go home and I would carry it with me, but I would never ever end with the love statement, so to speak. But ever since I started doing that, I saw the conversations ease down and I started feeling better about, that statement. So let love have the last word sometimes.
I love that.
Especially in your relationships.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, when we're talking about life, some of the things that we actually are experiencing is really not a big deal in comparison to what other people are dealing with.
Yes.
It becomes really minute, and it's like, why are we even focusing and having these emotions attached to certain things that we don't have control over, but is having actually control our entire day?
I think a lot of people play that comparing game, like they're comparing their life to somebody else's. And I think a lot of people get caught up in, I'm not where I want to be, but they don't know really what they want to be. They just see what they think from somebody else. Like they're trying to keep up with the Joneses on some level, more not necessarily on a material level, but where you think you should be is based upon what you probably have seen somebody else do. Like a lot of people, I want to be a millionaire and drive these fancy cars and whatever. You're basing it off of somebody else's reality, right? It's not really true to
about somebody's vision board. So, the age of 25, I want to be here. The age of 30, I want to be here.
Right.
But in all of those plans that you have, you don't factor in that life is going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
and things are going to push that schedule that you have pre-planned. It's going to push it back a little bit, and it's going to push it back, and it's going to be a delay. How about this? How about just being happy that you're healthy?
Well,
How
number
about that?
one.
Yeah, how
Number
about
one
that?
every day.
Yes.
Yeah.
How about that? How about just be happy that you can, wake up and talk and hear, and developing your senses. How about being grateful for the little things? And I think
Exactly.
that's what we get away from, like the little stuff.
Yeah, and then to transition that to business because their power perspective don't have a business plan. I ain't right.
No, we don't have a business plan. We don't even have a format for this show.
We just get up and do things.
But you love it.
And right.
Yeah.
Get a text, hey, we going to do a podcast at 3 o'clock. Okay.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
He didn't even say who's on it. I was like, I discovered who will have it. But a lot of, we talk about a lot of good things here that I think our audience definitely needs to hear on there. You learn anything today?
Yeah.
What did you learn? I'm putting you on the spot.
I don't know.
No. A lot to take in, a lot of heavy stuff. Do you talk bad in your head to yourself? Or there's always positive stuff that in your head? Both. You're hard on yourself, aren't you?
Yeah.
You get that from your mother. It's okay. It's all right.
Perfection.
As long as you have an outlet. Right?
Yeah. Slime's the outlet. Maybe I should
Let's talk
try.
about yoga.
Yeah.
Let's talk about yoga.
Yes,
let's talk about
go.
yoga. Yeah.
Beer yoga.
Bear yoga?
Beer.
Beer yoga.
I watched the episode.
This I don't know. You'll have to inform me
They
on.
were in
Like you're
Chicago.
drinking beer and
This is
doing
yeah, it's with
poses?
Kevin Hart. So every
Yeah.
time they would change your pose, they would take a sip.
Yeah. I would imagine by the end it would be pretty sloppy.
It was for him.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
all over the place.
Poppy wine. This is something that we can work together on.
Wine yoga.
Wine
Yeah,
yoga.
yeah.
Sponsored by Poppy Wine.
Because we're looking to do something like that. Like Niso's wife Rebecca said, you guys are always talking to people and they're always having, these kind of things that they want to do. You guys want to go do something instead of sitting in front of, the camera just talking. So we're planning some kind of way to do yoga or go to his fitness gym because I think they were out working him the other day when he was there.
Yeah, they trying to kill me over here, man.
The boxing for years.
Well, that's good. Maybe I'll get the two of you sitting and we can meditate together too.
I'm gonna fall asleep. I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah.
Is it going to be poppy wine?
Poppy wine at the end if you get successfully complete the meditation.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
He's putting on a behavior plan. A
Yeah.
reward system.
You don't fall asleep, but you really
Yeah.
focus on here and that. You
Let's
got
focus on our breath. Yeah.
You got Poppy wine in front of you.
Yeah.
But breathing is really therapeutic, and it will be able to slow down some of those thoughts that pop into your mind.
Oh,
Breathing.
absolutely. Yeah.
Well, not only do you need breathing just to continue to live,
Right.
but when you slow down your breathing, you slow down your heart rate, which will slow down those thoughts that are going to your mind.
Right. Because the first time that we say you're encountering a difficult situation, what's the first thing you normally do? Hold your breath, squeeze your body, tension sets in, probably hold it in your jaw, your shoulders are up near your ears, your stomach tightens, and your breath changes. And as soon as your breath changes, then that's where like all the anxiety starts to set in. So like you said, then you go, okay, breathe in, breathe out, and then focusing on your breath. And that's where you can release a lot of tension from. And that's basically, you have your breath, you can meditate.
I think we're gonna set up a meditation session.
There we go.
We're
Let's do it.
We're gonna see what happens.
I'm going to get my wine. That's
I'm
what.
gonna bring
Yeah.
my pillows. I'm
Hey,
gonna
over here, fellas, take a nap.
Right.
He said, I don't have to do no painting today. I'm going to just take me a nap.
That's too funny. Well, let's switch gears a little bit on our show. We like to have fun at the end of our show, so we have some questions that we typically ask our guests on the show, and we've been doing, I guess it's 2 years now, traveling up and down the East Coast, Midwest, trying to find out if people are petty, and that's what we are trying to find out.
You don't have to ask me. I'm going to tell you right now because I'm going to be truthful. I am petty. There's no question.
I totally think people can be petty. Yeah.
Are you petty?
I try not to be petty.
How do you try not to be petty?
I think I try not to get caught up in the little stuff.
Sometimes you need to get caught up
Oh,
in
you
some
do?
stuff.
You're right. It happens. There's no way that you can stay away from it, but I think it's a practice. I think you have to make yourself aware and say, I don't want to get caught up in that pettiness. I don't want to get caught up in that
How
drama.
about just embracing it when
Embracing
you embrace the pettiness, then you don't have to worry about it. You know, it's going to happen.
I guess that's a different perspective. It's okay.
That's just the economic perspective.
Yeah, that's right.
We
can agree to disagree because I don't want to get petty here.
That's why he's saying that you don't want to be petty. Right? Not wanting to be petty is petty.
Yeah. All right.
I think you go out of your way to create pettiness.
I do. I'm very good at finding petty people. It's like an energy. So even the other day when the nurses came in, right, the closer they got to me, the more petty her complaints got.
You're like, bring it on. I'm
Absolutely.
ready. I'm ready.
You're rubbing your pettiness
Yes,
off on other people.
absolutely. Well, here's what happened. Guido had a birthday. Shout out to Guido. So he had a birthday, right? So I'm hearing them saying happy birthday. So I'm in the middle of a conversation with a kid. Hold that thought. Pick up the phone. Now, hey, I hear you guys singing happy birthday. Where's my cake? She said, what do you mean? I said, no, you guys are singing happy birthday. I know there's cake somewhere. She said, well, Spence, honestly, we were just singing happy birthday to him. There's really no cake. I said, no, it's cake somewhere. So she said, you know what? Okay, we're just going to bring you some cake. So if I wasn't being petty about the cake,
You would have missed out.
I didn't even want the cake because it was too early in the morning. But just the simple fact that there was a celebration, I wasn't invited, and I knew that there was cake.
I think it was petty the fact that they lied to you. There was definitely cake in it.
Yes, the nurses lied. They're not supposed to. Well, I guess nurses do.
You should have been the first to know that it was someone's birthday.
I really didn't think about that. I really didn't care about that. All I cared about was who had cake and why am I not getting any cake.
Right.
So, and I didn't eat the cake. I gave the cake away to the kid. I'm like, hey, you want some cake? You gotta love to have some cake. It's 10 o'clock in the morning.
Listen to this podcast. Please send Kareem some cake.
And wine.
Hey, wine. Say happy birthday first. Send us some cake. That is too funny. We have also another question. Typically, you watch movies?
I do.
When was the last movie that made you cry?
What was the last movie that made me cry?
You think about that too.
Do you cry?
I do cry, yes.
When the last time you cried? Crying is healthy.
Crying is healthy, but probably just a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Were you watching, what was the movie with the basketball? Coach Carter, and he gave a speech.
No, I didn't see that
Oh,
movie.
you gotta watch Coach Carter.
That was a great speech.
That was great.
The greatest fear or whatever.
Yes, the deepest fear.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It gets you caught up. Like no tear drop down, but it gets you caught up.
You got the little bit lump.
Yes, real heavy right here.
Coach Carter.
Yeah.
Last movie that made you cry?
I have two. One's on a movie, Stranger Things. I cried.
Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Which part?
I think it was like, I don't know, but like it was when
I didn't see it, so don't look at me.
the chief died.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Coach Chief died.
The coaches. Well, I have my own issues with 7 because our nose starts to bleed, and this is not a conversation we have. But for the adults, we know what happens when your nose starts to run. Absolutely.
So what was the
What's the name of it? Before our first.
The Avengers Endgame when they all came out.
No, not like that movie. The first one where we did our first DTD.
Hidden Figures?
Yeah.
What part did you cry about that one?
When she couldn't find a bathroom and she kept running.
Kind of.
Um,
I don't remember.
I feel the pain.
Yeah.
I feel the pain that happened. She was sprinting.
She was sprinting the mile, I think it was.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You have a movie?
Yeah, so I'm sitting here and I obviously have been to the movies since then, but the movie that I can tell you, I bawled my eyes out and I wish I had gone out of the movie theater because I needed like a box of tissues, was Marley and Me, where the dog dies in the movie. And oh my gosh, just bawling my eyes out, you know. So,
I've seen that one.
Oh, no?
no.
It's a good one.
It is a good one.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
That's something that probably could see.
Yeah.
That was a good one. I'm trying to think the last movie that made me cry. Maybe the end of the Avengers, because I was sitting there for 3 hours, like.
Yeah.
Wish I could go home.
Wish I could go home kind of cry, yeah. Get me out of here, cry. Yeah.
Iron Man died though. Iron Man was dead.
I'm not a big hero movie.
I did not like the Avengers.
You didn't like the Avengers?
It wasn't worth it. I heard so much about it.
Did you?
Why did we get up and leave?
It's on Netflix.
It's open. No, we went to the movies to see when it came
It
out.
was good, but it wasn't worth it.
I
3
agree.
hours.
Just 3 hours we'll never ever get back.
But I did cry in the part where I forget but like the lady, I don't know, a lady got trapped or something, and then when Iron Man died, I cried.
What about the one before that? Infinity War, when they all died. Was it Infinity War where they all started to
I
disappear?
don't think we've seen that one.
Oh.
Well, I tell you, I'm not a big Marvel guy. I can't.
You gotta watch all those things. You're too busy. You don't have time.
Busy, ain't no time. But it ain't on Netflix at this point. It ain't happening. So where can people find your book?
You can go on to Amazon and type in Women Who Illuminate. And as I said, #1 bestseller, 7 different categories. Really cool and honored to be a part of it.
It's awesome. So when's #2 coming out for you?
I don't know. That's what a couple people have said to me. I said, we'll wait to see. Like this just launched, and I'm excited, just riding the wave.
Right.
But and I started a meditation business too. So when you all want to meditate, just look me up because we can do that. Grit and Grace meditation.
Okay. So how can people find out about that business?
Go www.gritandgracemeditation.com, and I can work one-on-one. I'm launching a 21-day challenge starting Monday. If you want to learn about meditation, have a practice, and just want to be integrity and surround yourself with like-minded individuals, can help you with that. I've been doing a little bit of teaching on RCSJ's campus to students, going into classrooms. I would love to see as young as you, Simone, learning, because it's a great tool.
You ever meditate before?
No, for fun.
For fun?
For fun, that's all right.
She must ignore her sister.
Yeah, don't leave me alone. Yeah.
I do it usually before cheer competition.
Yeah.
It's great.
Breathing in, breathing
Yeah,
out, right?
Great practice.
Not before soccer. I would think soccer would be a little bit more.
She likes too
Soccer's
easy.
easy.
There you go.
She likes too easy. That's awesome. So thanks for being on our show.
Thank you for
Definitely
having
appreciate
me.
it.
Awesome
We were on
to
her
be
show.
here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I said welcome to the
Thank you.
game.
Yeah,
Now, yeah,
thanks
thank
for having us.
you. Yeah.
Awesome. So the people that follow us, don't forget, you can catch it on Amazon. Women Who Illuminate. I'm sure. Some great stories, and I haven't read all of them. I did read a couple of them, but there's some interesting stories in there. Some powerful stories. I encourage men to read it too, because you learn a lot about women in this book too. So make sure you check that out. Also, while you're on Amazon, you might as well cop Life Music by Miso Josey. You can just type my name in or Life Music and get that story in there. At the end of the book, there is I give some keys to how to manage stressful situations and how to go through life and all that stuff. So in the process of still writing Life Music 2, it's about fatherhood, so that's going to come out hopefully within a year or so. I got to finish that up. Make sure you hit our website, empowermentperspective.com. Our store is open. Get your petty gear, get your Embrace Your Petty mug, Empowerment Perspective t-shirts. We got a couple other things going on out there, working on some book bags and stuff like that for children. So that's out there now, the empowermentperspective.com. Make sure you follow us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, LinkedIn, every social media, Twitter.
Come to his house, absolutely. Just follow him around his building.
There's a fee if you want to come to my house. It's not a museum. They gonna be asking where's Mr. Petty? I gotta put up a wax statue of Kareem in the front yard. No, don't do that. Don't come to my house. I got something for you. Come to my house though. But make sure you check us out on those social media platforms. Working on some other speaking engagements. Hopefully we'll be in where the heck are we going?
New Orleans.
New Orleans in February. Working on San Antonio in November, and some other. Of course, we're gonna go back down to the A at the end of the school year. The Lemon Pepper Wigs. So shout out to the Innovative School Summit down there in Keeley. If you're an educator, make sure you check out that conference. Is definitely worth going to.
Absolutely.
And big shout out. I want to give a shout out to the soon-to-be Dr. Darlene DeHaan. She's working on finishing that up. So big shout out to her. She's got some speaking engagements out there in Boston and stuff like that with Mad About Science and all of those things. things. Big shout out to Dr. Gillespie and Dr. Johnson, part of my cohort out there. Dr. Gillespie has an art gallery down in Dallas. She just opened up, so you want to make sure that you check that out. I'll put that stuff on our website. Big shout out to her. Her and her husband doing some big things with children and art down there. And Dr. Johnson, he just finished his, and he's celebrating. We got some celebrating to do. Then he's going to get back to his grind. You're going to see some work from the three of us soon on cultural competency and education. So, Primary Perspective Group still working, still out here grinding and doing stuff. We also have our financial literacy program for middle school and high school students. So we're, unfolding those things. We're hitting up a couple of, I'm going to hit my elementary school up and a couple other schools in the South Jersey area. Then hopefully broaden it the following year to other states once we, figure out, a couple of cases got to work out, but especially for the younger kids, we have to make it adapted to those children. But we're working. Also, in the summertime coming up, Lawns Community Day out there in Glassboro. We're going to be having a community day out there, and we have working on health screenings and stuff like that coming out. My neighbor, Mr. Clean, is at the door telling us to wrap it up now. But check us out, the Empowerment Perspective Group at theempowermentperspective.com. Until next time, stay empowered.